Hi everybody, and thank you for joining me today. So yeah, we are on the home stretch now. We're on the last pass of this pattern. So yeah, the bottom row is right down there. One more grid square from where my lowest stitches are. So yeah, we are closing in on the finish. Very excited about that. And again, these colors go more of a vertical direction, so my stitching kind of ends up more of a vertical direction. Like I've said in other videos, I'm generally diagonal, but as I go by the colors, if they happen to be going in a more vertical direction, then that's how I end up stitching too. I adapt myself to the pattern rather than the pattern to my stitching method. So either way, I'm still doing the same basic. I do the stitches that are above and to the left before the below and to the right so that they're not closing stuff in. As I've said, makes it a little neater. I make fewer counting errors. And yeah, it's easier than trying to get your needle up into an empty space when it's surrounded by other stitches, especially when you're working on higher counts. It can be really tight trying to oh, look at that. As I said about counting errors, and then I made one right there. I tell you, it's 3 stitches, not 4. My gosh, this is not an auspicious beginning. Oh dear. And I was just going to say, I'm less tired this morning because Kato did not have, so trying to undo a loop start from the front after you've pulled it taut is really, really hard. So I don't even bother generally anymore. Okay, let's start again. My gosh. Let's hope that's not a bad omen for the rest of the session, huh? Oh my goodness. Ooh, I swear I do know how to stitch, and I swear I do know how to count. Yeah, it was good that I got some decent sleep because the day before we had a before school appointment, so yeah, had to get up even earlier. So yeah, I was grateful to get an extra hour of sleep this morning, that's for sure. Now I'm thinking I'm going to use 2 threads here, yeah, rather than crossing back and forth. So I could have parked this sort of over to the right there, but I'm going to use a separate thread for that area. When to add another thread with this method is really up to you. Like if there's only 1 or 2 stitches sort of over there and not in the same direct path, I may just carry the thread over. Or if I end up having, you know, a really short piece that's only good for 2 stitches, then it's perfect for, you know, 1 or 2 by themselves. So it really depends. Like I say, I don't really have hard and fast rules except for always parking in the upper right where I start my stitch. Otherwise, yeah, it just depends on a lot of things. What length of thread you have in your working tray, and how many more stitches there are of that color in an area. Sorry, this thing is squeaking again. Oh, that's annoying. Yeah, all sorts of things. So, and I say there's no wrong way, as long as you are happy with the result. That is the important thing. Yeah, so I don't know if I mentioned, I finally got my Morgan hoop stand. It arrived. I think I did mention this last time. Yeah, and I've been stitching a bit with it downstairs, just doing the background bits, and I've been pretty happy with it. They recommended that you put a piece of cloth or something in the bottom hoop so that it rests easier against your legs or whatever. So I put like a folded tea towel just in the first few inches so that the edge rests, but then I can still pull my hand sort of through the big hoop too if I really need to, because there's about 4.5 inches between the two hoops. So yeah, if I sort of had to stop pulling where the bottom hoop was, I wouldn't get enough clearance for my hand. But if I leave it mostly open, then yeah, it works out good. Yeah, I bought some of those magnetic cable ties people are using to keep their stitching sort of tamed. I tell you, I don't know. The brand I got must be lousy because they can't hold anything back. They were, and the description said they were strong magnets, but yeah, they must have a different definition of strong than I do because they're weak. So I don't know, maybe I'll see if I can find some stronger ones and like maybe glue them together or something to the, because the actual tie is pretty good. The problem is I can't really wrap it around anything and get it to hold because the magnetic connection is so weak. So yeah, kind of frustrating. So I made myself a round grime guard for that one, instead of the, you know, square separate little ones like I do for my Q-snap. So I have that and tucked it in, and it mostly stays tamed. I might get some hair claws or something to put on the outside. If you do that though, be careful. I got some once and I didn't realize they had this like rubbery grip stuff on the inside. It's supposed to help grip hair better. Well, they put marks on my fabric. And yeah, fortunately I was able to salvage it, but yeah, I was pretty darn upset. So yeah. Just like with magnets, wipe them clean, check them on a piece of, you know, scrap cloth. Make sure that they won't leave a stain behind because that would really, really suck. Yeah, I had one time I got a little bit of chapstick on the cloth, but thankfully it was in an area I hadn't stitched yet and it was going to be stitched over with dark colors. So I was able to cover it up, but yeah, that could have been disastrous because yeah, I tried to clean it off and it did not want to come off. I guess because it's kind of waxy, and yeah, trying to get that out of fabric is not fun. So yeah, this is 2 different colors in this area, but you'd be hard pressed to tell. But I do know that shading does come through. It is worth it in the long run. You sort of see it without being really aware of it, like on a subconscious level or something, I guess, than if it was all one solid block of color. Okay. Yes, as you can see, this dark color here kind of goes in like a straight sort of line there. So that's sort of where I just kind of keep stitching, and then I go back up and stitch a little further and stitch a little further. And yeah, that's just kind of how it works out. Okay, 939. So I made a miscalculation. I said I would be 89% done when I got to the far edge, but I forgot. RDC, for some reason, their number one goes, their first square goes one in from the side and one in from the top, and then sort of drifts over the bottom. So it is 550, but it starts at the 1 line and then goes to the 551 line. So that meant I was 550 stitches shy of what I calculated I would be when I reached the far end, which made a difference in my percentage points. So not a lot though. So yeah, I have 51 rows left for the bottom, not 50, because it drifts over the line there. Yeah, I'm not sure why they do that, because Heaven and Earth Designs, it starts at the one column and the one row line, or at the 0, I should say, right on the grid. And then RDC likes to put theirs 1 in for some reason. I don't know, but I mean, it all works out the same in the end, because I mean, you remove those grid lines, right? Got a fuzzy coming up there. So yeah, I know some people are still sweltering in the southern US and such, but yeah, we are winterizing. My husband had to do his normal. He had to blow out all the hoses, or I mean the the hoses and the outside pipelines for like sprinklers and stuff. Yeah, with a compressor, you blow compressed air down there to get all the water out so that they don't freeze, because they'll burst if that happens. So that sort of thing. Yeah, I kind of did my last cleaning of my car windows inside before it's too cold, because it gets kind of like grease on the inside, I guess. And then when the sun hits it, it really reflects the light and you can't see. So yeah, to take some Windex and scrub the insides. You don't want to do that when it's too cold out. So yeah, it was funny when I was a kid and we lived on Vancouver Island. Oh, is there a knot back there? Oh, I hope not. Let's see. I think we're okay. Okay. No, just something wasn't quite taut. Okay, there. Anyway, as I was saying, so I grew up on Vancouver Island, and so it rarely gets like really, really cold below freezing. If it does, it's just, you know, a couple degrees in the very morning, and then it's gone by the afternoon. So I was always like, why do people spring clean? Like, what's the big deal about doing it at spring? But now that I live on the prairies where it's, yeah, like freezing in the winter, -40, sometimes even colder, now I get it, because yeah, that's when you can finally open up the windows and let some of that old musty air out and really, really clean things properly, get a good airing. So yeah. Because, yeah, when I lived in BC, it's sort of, you could do a deep clean any time of the year kind of thing. At least on the island. If you're up further north, then, yeah, it's cold there too. But, yeah, because when I was a kid, really, really young, we lived, like, 3 kind of thing. And we lived more north, and my sister filled my boots with water and stuck them outside. They froze solid. She was curious about what would happen, right? Oh, and I remember I was so upset because I couldn't go play outside for like a week after while they dried out. And plus, the inside was never as nice. You know that like polyester fleece kind of stuff? Kind of the same thing like they use on stuffed animals. It's never the same once it's washed, right? It gets matted and it's just not as soft. And so, yeah, it's disappointed because then the inner lining of my boots was not as nice and snuggly anymore. Yeah, I remember because I had a stuffed animal, so I was trying to keep her fur, you know, that nice, glossy, soft, you know, as long as possible, and I dropped her in a mud puddle. It was a stuffed cat. Oh, I was absolutely heartbroken. You know, like, well, we could wash her. I'm like, no, but she'll never be the same because, yeah, I knew from experience, once you wash them, they're never as soft as they used to be. And same with sweaters. Yeah, when you get them brand new, they're so soft like a cloud. But then, yeah, once you've washed them, they're never quite the same. Even if you use fabric softener, which I generally don't. Most fabric softeners, they're too strong in the smell. And, yeah, they're harder on your clothes and your machine. So, it's sort of an extra expense I don't bother. I did for a while try making my own with use hair conditioner and some vinegar and water, and it does work, but not as good as the commercial stuff. But then yeah, the commercial stuff is, the smell is way too strong for my liking. So, oh, am I on the right one? 1, 2. Oh, have I screwed something? No. Oh yeah, I went and picked up this thread instead by accident. Yeah, I thought that's too high. It's in the wrong place and it's the wrong color. Yeah, that's okay though. It was still leftmost cornermost, so it won't cause a problem. Yeah, so saying earlier about my Morgan hoop stand too is, yeah, the nice thing I really like about it is easily collapsible, easy to assemble and disassemble. It's just 2 hoops with 3 sort of legs between them, and they're easy to pop them in and out. So if you want to collapse it to put in your bag and travel with it and then assemble it once you get there, it's super easy. That was one thing with my other lap stand. That was a clamp. You could sort of take it apart into 2 pieces, but they were kind of awkwardly shaped because you had like the base and then the neck here that you couldn't really take the neck part out. So you'd have this weird L shape, and then you had the clamp and the little rod that would go into the base part. And so yeah, they were kind of, so you could somewhat disassemble that, but it was it certainly wasn't lying flat. Whereas with the hoops, which are, like I said, just 2 hoops with the legs in between them, you take the legs out, stack the hoops there. They're flat, right? They fit nicely. So yeah, I should have gone with that one in the first place, I guess. But I think I finally found the lap stand I like. Okay, so I'm gonna see what I'm gonna do here. Just trying to plan ahead a little bit too. I'm gonna end up with more than 1 thread of this color probably, because I mean, look at how many stitches there are. I'm only gonna get about another 30 out of this this piece of floss, so I'll be having to add another thread either way, even if I wasn't gonna juggle sort of 2 at once. So there's a lot of one color here. I hope that this doesn't bore you too much. Okay. Do I want to carry this all the way down? No, I think I'll start a new one down there. So that's as far as I'll carry this. And I like to do the bottom legs and then cross all the top legs when I can. I don't find crossing each X as I go necessary, so generally only do that if I want the thread to end up in the opposite side that I started. Yeah, so hard to believe this YouTube channel will be a year old soon. Time has really flown. I don't feel like I've been doing this a year. But I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I hope that you have too. If you're new here or you're returning or whatever, thank you so much for spending time with me. It's I'm really honored, and it's been fun. For me anyway. I hope it's been fun for you. So I'm crossing some of them because of the path I'm taking through here. Just keeping things interesting for you. I was just avoiding a bit of a carry by crossing a couple of them to bring the thread back. I think even when people are using the same basic technique, everybody makes it their own in slight ways, and that's totally fine. This should be enjoyable. It's not something you're going to need a test to be certified to do or something like that. Yeah, so I started rewatching Cold Case on Amazon Prime, enjoying it, and I found out, which I didn't know, my first go through with it years ago when it was first airing, that when they do the flashback scenes, they actually filmed it on film stock from that time period whenever possible, which is really cool. So yeah, like if it was a flashback to the 70s, they would use 1970s film if they could source it. Pardon me. You know, 1980s if it was 80s, that kind of thing. So I just thought that's really cool. Adds a little more authenticity to it. Yeah, it's been long enough because that show ended in like 2010, I think. So it's been a long enough gap that I've forgotten most of the solutions to the shows, to the mysteries. I know who did it only in about 10% because I can't remember, so. Yeah, it's by the same producer who did CSI, so if you like that, you'd probably like it. Oh, let's make sure we grab the correct one. So many different blues here, but they're all slightly different. They're very similar, but slightly different. Okay, so let's see. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm gonna unthread this for a bit because it's gonna be a while till I work my way down to that stitch. As you can see, I've got a whole ton of this black and very dark navy blue before I get there, so yeah, I will not bother keeping that threaded. Now this time I'm crossing each little row as I go down because I want the thread to end up at the bottom there to do those other stitches, so that is why I'm doing it that way. In case you were wondering. Didn't want to come up smoothly there, so I just went the other way. Oh, come on. Oh, goodness. There. Okay, I knew it wasn't an actual knot there. It was just a weird loop thing that it was making. Can be a little hard to tell where I am since these colors are so similar. It kind of all becomes one big homogeneous blob here. Again, good thing for my grid lines, or I think I would get pretty lost. Okay. seeing again where I want to go with this. Okay, I can see what I'm gonna do. Yeah, so the way we're going, I think I should definitely be done by the end of the year, so woohoo. Okay, so those 3. Okay, 3 more. Then I'm going to start another number 2 thread, I think, with 310. Let's just see what I want to do here first. Okay, I could carry this down and back up. Yeah, which I think is what I'll do. Oops. Try not to split my fabric there. The wrong spot. Twist my thread a bit there. Okay, park it there. Oh, might work better if I was in the correct mode. Just make sure that that's what I did. Yes, I did. Okay. Yeah, I made that mistake before. Okay, so now switch to this color. gonna park this one down over here. Right there. Okay, start another thread. Oh, gonna need to grab a new one. I'm going to probably end up with about 3 threads here I can see already. Okay. Okay, so I know I can see what I'm going to do. Planning ahead. Let's see if you can figure it out too. When that happens, it gets shredded coming through the needle, the eye of the needle sometimes. So I'm going to do those 2 there. That way then I can do the navy blue strand there. Yeah, actually this way. That I won't have to have as many strands of the same color at one time. Park this right here, then do this color. That way I can do this one, and this one. Oh, goodness. Then nothing is closed in. Unthreaded my needle by accident. There we go. Okay, park that right there. Okay, so now I can take this one, do all these. Yeah. Without closing anything in. So occasionally I'll go out of order when I can, but hey, in this case, I was able to avoid it. I guess I'll have to think about ordering Christmas presents soon to make sure they have time to get here. Yeah, I always like to do that ahead of time so I don't have to stress. You know, I've seen one where they have, oh, if you mail it by December 14th, it'll get there by Christmas. And it's like, oh, I would be way too anxious to cut it that close. There. So yeah, then this way, I didn't have to add a second thread for these stitches up here. I was able to do them all at once. Now I can see that I'm going to have more than one thread and they're going to sort of meet. One will come downwards and one will come upwards and they'll sort of meet in the middle. That's what I generally do when I have lots of one color like that. I'm just gonna take these, yeah, just sort of move them up here, more out of my way, and then I'm not tangling as many threads together. This one I think can stay down, yeah. Tucking it out of the upwards in that area would probably cause me more of a tangling problem, so I'll just do that. So yeah, like I was saying in another video, switching colors like this gives my arms enough of a break that I don't get sore. It doesn't slow down my progress a lot, but enough that I'm not going to injure myself. I unfortunately find I can get repetitive stress injury quite easily. So, got to be careful with that. But yeah, I still did over 700 stitches yesterday and like 800 the day before. So, not as much as 1,000, but I mean, that's still really good progress. And I didn't injure myself. I didn't need any cold packs or painkillers or anti-inflammatories. So, yeah, definitely worth doing a couple hundred fewer stitches if it means I don't hurt myself. Okay, so a whole bunch in a row. Like I said, hopefully you're not too bored. So I got to be careful too as I'm near the edge here and then the bottom edge to make sure when I'm doing my pin stitches that the ends will not protrude past the edge of the design, or even from drawing the thread along the back. I had that with another pattern I did that had a lot of dark colors sort of on this white, and then after I finished it, I had to go back and tuck a bunch of ends back in so that they wouldn't show through the fabric. So yeah, as usual, better to just avoid that happening in the first place by making sure all your ends near the edges are tucked towards the middle of the design so that they don't show. So then I'm gonna use the bottom one of this same color, this bottom thread. Like I said, they meet in the middle there. So one goes one direction, one goes the other direction, but it all works out. And then I don't close anything in. It's kind of nice. These the flows of this colors are kind of going the same direction as what would be my diagonal line if I was stitching this area more diagonally. I still am, kind of. So yeah, that makes it much easier when it's going the other way, like I had with the other edge of the fountain. That meant color changes a lot more often. Yeah, so I think I've been getting about 1/3% per day lately, so that's been pretty cool. Because if that's the case, it would only take me just over a month to finish, but I'm going to say it's going to be 2 months. Also, as I get more to the center of the design where there's the flowers, there's a lot more confetti, so that is going to slow it down. This area here goes pretty fast because, I mean, when I'm only using 2 colors, yeah, I can zip through it much more quickly. All right, now the piece is too short to park it anywhere, so tie that off. Perfect. And now this piece is probably just long enough to do what I've marked there. We'll see. Oh, there's the neighbor starting up his Corvette. Yeah, you always know when he's leaving. I guess he's getting his last bit of enjoyment out of it because it's going to be time to probably put it away. It's not really not really practical as a winter vehicle out here. Yeah, I refuse to drive anything smaller than an SUV with four-wheel drive because of the snow. So, okay, so I'm going to, let's take a look. Ooh, okay, yeah, definitely need another thread here. Ah, well, I had a neighbor across the street. I don't know, they have like a bad engine or something, and when he's idling it, it's so irritating because the sound is not constant. So it'll be like this low, and then it'll go up higher, and then, and it's not consistent in that either when it switches back and forth. Oh, it drives me nuts. Oh, it's so irritating. Because it's not, if it was a constant noise, you know, you could ignore it more easily, but it's not. It's inconsistent. And so it just, oh, yeah, it drives me totally nuts. And he lets it run for like 20 minutes or something. I'm just like, oh my God, turn it off or drive away. I don't want to hear it anymore. So that's why I think excessive barking from dogs annoys me so much, because again, it's not consistent. And they'll bark for like 15-20 minutes and then they stop for like 30 seconds and you think, oh, thank God, you know, they're done. And then it starts again. It's like, oh, for the love of Pete, how can you have that much to say? Oh. Oh yeah, so there's the bottom grid line there. This is kind of loose here, but you can see. Tighten it up, and then it goes one more stitch sort of below that, I believe. Oh, it actually doesn't. Oh, well, what do you know? Usually it does, but I guess not. Ah, so I guess instead of 410 rows, it's actually 409. It's slightly different. I didn't realize that, because on the other side, on the far edge, the 550, it goes to the 551 line. So it starts here on the 1 line, ends on the 551 line, so then it's 550. But this one starts on the 1 line from the top and ends on the 410 line, so I guess it's actually 409 stitches. I guess that's why you end up with not a perfectly round number, sort of, it's, yeah, like 224 950 instead of like a bigger like 22500 or something. It's, yeah, slightly off of that. Okay, so I'm going to put this right there. There. Okay. All right. Okay, I think I knew. Ah, yes, because that's a short one. What I'm going to do is I'm instead going to do this coming from the top down here with this thread, and then I'm going to carry on further with the other thread. That's why I chose to do it that way, yes. I now remember what past me planned. I was thinking, why did I park it down here instead of a row above where it wouldn't close anything in? But that's why, because I was going to do this thread from the top first, head down, and then, yeah, that is why I chose to do that. I actually had a good reason. Okay. Then I think that may be all I get from this thread. It's not very long. Oh, I think I may have parked that one wrong. Possibly. Let me take a look. Yep, I did. Yeah, I mixed myself up. That's okay. I didn't count from the grid line. Should be 4 stitches over, not 3. There we go. And I realized as I was going by with this thread, something was not adding up. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, I really did this wrong, didn't I? 1, 2. No, maybe not. Oh, what have I done here? Oh, I think I missed some. Oh yeah, I did too. Okay, 1, 2, 3. I missed one right here next to it. Yeah, okay, but you know what? They're so similar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I see what I did. They're so similar that I can just kind of fudge it, fill them in. Yeah, so I'm gonna do that. It's in a background area. You really won't be able to tell, I don't think. So yeah, we'll call it personalization. Oh, which means I missed that one down here too, didn't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I didn't. Oh, what have I done here? My gosh. Okay, something's not right. Let me try this again and see if I can figure out what I went wrong. Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, you know what? We're going to fill this in, and I'm going to color it in what I've done. It's not perfect, but who's going to know? Okay, so make sure this is in the right place. So it is 2, 3 down, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that one is parked correctly now. So I am going to just fudge it. So I'm going to park this here to do this one stitch right here, and then let's not highlight anything. Yeah, let's see what I did. Okay, 1, 2, 3. No, I did do that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I really blew it there. Oh dear. Okay, so now they kind of match. Yeah, it wasn't perfect, but you know what? I think no one is really going to notice. Okay, so I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to do those two. That, like this. Yeah. Try not to tie knots in here. I wonder again if any of you noticed and were like, what are you doing? You got that wrong. I told you though, these two colors are so similar. It is really hard sometimes to tell what I'm doing. And as it's background, who's going to really notice? You can't even tell the two colors apart. At least I sure can't. My eyes are not that accurate. Yeah, I used to be more of a perfectionist and I would have ripped that all out to make sure it was perfect, but Now I'm just like, you know what? It's close enough. The colors are so similar. You cannot tell very easily. So again, this is on a background area next to the pillory, right? It's not a focal point of the design. If I messed up something on, say, the swans, then I absolutely would have pulled it out to fix it, but yeah. Okay, so there, and I think that will be the last stitch of this color. Oh, try not to unthread it. There we go. Yeah, that's what I kind of planned for that thread anyway. So we're about 5 from the edge here. So yeah, that's sort of the closest to the edge I will let myself finish a thread. Yeah, because I clip it pretty close so it shouldn't hang past at that point, but just to be safe. Okay, so I'm going to carry on here. With a new thread again. Just sort of building from the left over towards the right. So it really is only 50 rows left in this last pass. So yeah, I've been taking about 2 months to do a pass across, and that's for ones that were 60 row passes. So as this is 50, it should probably take even less than 2 months. It might be like 6 weeks. We'll see. I love starting a new project, and I love finishing a project. Those are fun. Okay, 310. Completely misthreading that one. Oh dear. cloth is a little less taut here at the edge. It was just hard to get it, yeah, to go. Oh, actually, what I'm gonna, nope, I'm not. I'm gonna do one out of order here, I think, yeah. Just because of the way that works out. So I'm gonna do those, even though I am technically doing one of them out of order, but it's too much of a hassle at this point to avoid it. So occasionally I will do that. Yeah, and then do those. So sometimes I have two threads meeting in the middle, and sometimes I have one thread that I'll sort of take down and up and then go back up and then down. So yeah, sometimes that's how I do it. But I'm always sort of hugging that edge and generally not closing stuff in. Of course, I say that, but I just did it. So that closed those two in, but that's okay. Okay, put that one there. Okay, so now let's see, how long is this one up here? Well, this one's a fairly good length too. Okay, that's fine. But there's a lot of this color, so I'm not going to have any problem using up both these threads. I'll probably be adding more as the time goes on. Yeah, my fabric, I kind of couldn't get it drum tight here right at the edge, but good enough. That is one thing I find, a hoop can get a little more evenly tight generally for me, and a Q-snap sometimes is a little harder because you have corners, so it's not consistent tension all around, but I mean, it's good enough. It doesn't have to be. I don't personally need it to be perfectly drum tight. Some people, that's really important to them, but then there's some people who don't use hoops or frames at all, and they stitch it entirely in hand. So yeah, you just find what works for you. Yeah, so I was kind of jealous. My husband, he's out of town for work, and he sent me some pictures. He got to go to one of those places where they cook the food right in front of you. Yeah. And he said, yeah, they even had, you know, actual flames coming up. He said, I took a video, I'll show it to you later. So I said, oh, I'm jealous. I've never been to one of those. That'd be kind of neat. Okay. Just park this right here. I'm going to do this other one of the same color. Sort of take that one upwards, I think. Yeah. So yeah, now we're starting to square out the bottom here. Because this is the very bottom, not just my cutoff point. Woohoo! Okay, so wow, we got a lot done this session. 231. Woohoo! Yeah, that's what happens when it's mostly one color. That goes really quick. There's two colors here. Yeah, I didn't follow the pattern perfectly. Whoops. But like I said, can you really tell what's supposed to be navy blue and what's supposed to be black here? I sure can't. So So I am not going to sweat it too much. Oh, we got a knot back here. Oh, look at that. We do too. Ah. Yeah, I could see that because this is a loose stitch here, which that usually means I've ended up with some kind of a knot or tangle on the back. So better to fix that now. Okay, let's see what we've got going on there. Why are you being like that? Oh, you've kind of snagged each other, haven't you? Oh my gosh. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to wrestle with this off camera maybe. Oh, hang on a minute. Maybe we got it. Let's see. Yeah, the way the threads kind of went through each other. It's caused a bit of a, there we go. Caused a bit of a snack. Okay. Okay, now we got it. Yeah. I find most of the time if you're not too impatient and you don't ream on it, you can usually untangle it. And of course you also want to be careful not to pull too hard because you can distort the holes in your actual fabric, which you definitely don't want. Oh my gosh, and I only threaded one side. My goodness. Yeah, this is a very professional channel, I tell you. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I swear these last 4 stitches I have highlighted here are going to be the death of me. All right. That's better. Now it's nice and smooth and flat. Okay, and I'm going to park this right here because what I'm going to do next is carry this up like that. So I think I'll give it a rest there. I've had enough difficulties for one day. So as usual, thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you here again another time. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.